What's going on, YouTube? Tom here, and today I had plans to make a video outside, and that just kind of isn't gonna happen. Simply put, the weather is just too horrible to do that. It's cloudy and overcast, so it's threatening to rain. In fact, it has rained a little bit today, and then on top of that, it's so windy, any audio that I filmed outside would have honestly been horrible. So instead, I've got kind of a video, or a little half and half. Some filming outside that no audio. And so I apologize for the horrible lighting today. Realistically, I don't even need these to film. It's not that bright outside. I'm just doing the Casey Neistat trick again. So I figured today I would make a video talking about my Tacoma once again. For those who are new to my channel, who have stopped in for the first time for Mustang content, this is my daily driver 2013 Toyota Tacoma. It is a pre-runner SR5, and it is the 2.7 inline 4. So realistically, it's not the most impressive vehicle in the world, but hey, it gets you where you need to go, it's paid for, and it's extremely reliable. And now when I started YouTube, I started with the intention of doing a Tacoma build. Well, time and money both kind of conspired to help keep that from happening. But I still want to do it, and I still have plans for what I want to do. And I've not really been able to do them, but I figured I'd go ahead and at least share with you all the plans I want to do. Now, the first major thing I can say I want to do, I want to put new headlights on my truck. Not that there's anything wrong with the ones I've got, it's just they're kind of dull looking. They don't really do a whole lot for me looks-wise. They work fine, they put light out, at the end of the day that's what you want, but I want something with a little more of like a black housing kind of look, possibly in the projector style. For one, just to give it kind of a cleaner look on the front, kind of going along with the black and red theme that this truck kind of has a little bit. But then also, just to kind of give it a newer look, because these headlights look like they were designed basically when this truck came out, which would have been 2005. And realistically, they even look like headlights that are even older than that, so they're just not that impressive looking. 2013, it was not the best year for looks on vehicles, but it was the year that things were starting to kind of shift, so I think it would look a lot better, and it would look a lot closer to like what the new Tacomas have. I actually can say I like the looks of my second gen better than the third gens, but still, I think there are some things about the third gens I like. So another one I would like to consider doing is, my truck has the vinyl stripe from the dealership, and I can say I'm not the biggest fan of it anymore. When I first got this truck, I liked it. I've had this truck since it was brand new in 2013, and it always looked good to me. It's like, kind of that little bit of touch of class on new vehicles. Well, the longer I've had the truck, the more I have started to dislike him. Just because it cheapens it now. And it's to the point of the dealership where they are doing it to every new Toyota, regardless of model, regardless of how much you pay, and they just don't look right to me anymore. I don't know. Depends on who you ask, but for me, it just looks like an old man's vehicle with that. Kind of on the same subject as old man vehicle, another thing I would like to upgrade, because I'm kind of tired of the old man wheels, is, well, can't give that away, is I want to upgrade the wheels eventually. Now, I don't dislike the wheels I've got, the little steelies, but at the end of the day, they look cheap. The whole truck looks really good to me. The red, you got all the black accents, some of the chrome, it just all has this nice look to it, and then they let it down by giving you the cheap steelies. So, one thing I would like to do is possibly black wheels and possibly gray wheels. Now, I have a set picked out in mind, and that is the Toyota TRD beadlock wheels. Now, if you bought back in 2013, or I think starting in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, you could have gotten a Toyota TRD TX Baja or TX Pro. In fact, and then in 2015, they did the first generation TRD Pro, where you got these kind of faux beadlock wheels. Came on a few different Tacomas, and I've always thought they looked really good. And in fact, in 2013, they had the TX Baja. They actually showed it as a red access cab Tacoma, and I fell in love with it right then. I always wanted that truck. But hey, I always thought, man, that set of wheels with a nice mild leveling kit would look so amazing. So hopefully wheels and tires are kind of a toss-up, because I don't necessarily want to go to bigger tires and start ruining the gas mileage of the truck. But I think a nice set of at least somewhat beefier all-terrain tires might be a good thing. I don't know yet. That's a bit of a debate. But kind of a springboard onto that, you have the idea of a leveling kit. I think would look really good on this truck. Now, I really don't want to do like the hockey puck style. I would rather do an actual leveling kit, suspension-wise. Now, suspension on this truck is not the worst in the world. Before this, we, as my family, we had an 04 Tacoma, and it rode awfully. Now, 2013, when I first got this truck, I loved it because it rode like a Lexus. Well, now that I've test-driven the Mustangs, I've looked at other cars. Now every time I get back to my truck, it's like, ooh, now it feels awful again. Now, it's not, like I said, not a bad ride, but it could be improved. So I'm looking at potential of Bilstein 5100s, or potentially I believe it's 5165s in the rear and then 6112s in the front. And the idea would be to provide a little bit of lift on the front, kind of have it level with the rear. I personally don't want to mess with the height of the rear, but it kind of looks like a dually truck where they're kind of lifted in the rear when they don't have a load. I never liked that. I don't want the look of that. So, stock height in the rear, but possibly up to 2 inches in the front, just so it again looks like the TX Baja I mentioned earlier. And another one that's not really, I shouldn't call it a mod, because I know a lot of people are going to hate on it, but my truck does have mud flaps, even though they don't really do a whole lot. I'm debating whether I just want to take those off or not. Someday I might, I don't know. They just don't do anything. In fact, the front ones, I occasionally get hit on curbs or something if I do curb the truck. It makes an annoying sound. It doesn't damage them, it just annoys me. So, that's a potential thing. And also, if I do go to bigger tires, they might have to come off anyway. But that's, again, for another day. Now, it might not even be considered a mod to some people. But, and then one of the final things I can say I want to do is under the hood, once again. I recently installed a URD MAF calibrator, and back in 2017, I put in a K&N cold air intake. So, one thing I potentially want to do is some exhaust work on the truck, because that's kind of, at this point, what's holding the truck back from getting a little bit more power. Now, most people know the 2.7 is not a big powerhouse of a motor. In fact, it's horrible on power. 160 horsepower stock and enough torque to just get the truck moving, basically. In fact, before I did the intake in the MAF calibrator, the truck was lucky enough to get out of its own way. So, I'm thinking about a header, possibly the LC Engineering header, because that's kind of the most power to be had for a 2.7 Tacoma. Possibly Doug Thorley, because that's the other manufacturer that actually makes a header for this truck. Not as much power, but it's a little bit closer to the stock design, therefore it would make tuning a little bit easier. And of course, at that point, I would have to retune the MAF calibrator. Either I'd have to get the map preloaded from URD, or I'd have to go tune it myself, or have someone tune it, and so it's multiple options, but either way, it just kind of is a pain in the butt to do. So the money would have to be a little bit better to do that. And then another thing I want to do is potentially a muffler or catalytic converter, possibly a high-flow cat or muffler. Now, muffler I'm leaning towards not wanting to do just because I don't want the truck to sound ricey. It is a 4-cylinder. I know I see it all the time where people who've just gotten a 2.7 Tacoma are like, how can I upgrade the muffler without sounding like a ricer? How do I sound like a V8 or something? I facepalm every time because, like, dude, it's going to sound like a 4-cylinder regardless of what you do. And now, if I was going to ever make a shit 2.7 Tacoma owners say video, it honestly would have to say, my truck sounds so much like a Subaru now. It's like, yeah, your truck still sounds awful. So muffler is probably not, but a high-flow cat would actually let more gases out, because that's another thing that's kind of a limiting factor to the flow of the truck. But that's always up for debate, and that might be some other day. That's, of course, more money than it's worth, and then, of course, retuning the thing would be annoying. And kind of the final one that's, again, kind of a maybe, I keep going back and forth on, is I do kind of want to upgrade the taillights, kind of to go along with the headlights. One thing that really stops me is I actually do love the taillights on the truck stock. When I first got this truck, that was honestly one of my favorite things, was the way those taillights looked. So I found a couple that kind of work with that stock design, just a couple little changes. So they're a maybe. I have to see what comes out, what kind of I like the look of the best. But that's all for another day, just because, again, that's a lot of money and realistically does nothing to the truck performance-wise, but then again, a lot of things looks really don't. Oh, I guess one more thing I forgot to mention that I am thinking about upgrading is the head unit on the truck. Now, in the past, I did make a video of 5 things I love about my truck, and I said one of the things is the head unit, just because of how simple it is and how reliable it is. Well, now I've got the Mustang on the way, and I've been looking at the Ford Sync 3 and how amazing it is, and it's like, wow, it has so much technology my truck just doesn't have. Then my girlfriend's Camry has Entune in it, and which isn't as good as Sync, but it's like, man, there's so much better technology out there that they just simply left out in 2013, or didn't even have in 2013. So possibly the head unit. Now, I haven't made a decision on brands yet. I'm thinking about just seeing if I can get a 2015 Tacoma head unit, since that was the earliest available Tacoma with Entune. If not, I want to do possibly one of the big name brands like Kenwood or Pioneer or someone like that, so I can get something that actually will work pretty well. That's in the maybe pile, just because really the only reason I would want it is like the Android Auto and, you know, things like Pandora and navigation, and that's realistically the only reason I can even think of upgrading my head unit as is. And mine works with all of the modern phones and everything, so it's not like it's a bad head unit, but it could be better. But anyway, let me know below in the comments what you all think about that. Let me know what y'all think about this potential build. Would you all be excited to see more Tacoma content when the Mustang gets here? Want me to keep it 50-50, or do y'all want to see more Mustang than Tacoma content? Anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and leave a thumbs up. If you're stopping in for the first time, go ahead and subscribe. Help this channel get to 1,000 subscribers. Take care. Have a good day.